Oshay has done something that I think is freaking phenomenal. He's taking his own platform to where he's not the star. He's like the master conductor of so many black men across this digital landscape. Look at the platform that he's built. Look at how it's actually changed the dialogue and communication online. And us giving a lot of black men an opportunity to be more than they ever thought they could be. I think the man's brilliant. I'm impressed.
Brothers need information that may stop them from getting into trouble or help them out of some fucking trouble. That's where the Negro Manosphere came out. I said, well, listen, if I can create this, it can get other brothers paid. It can help other brothers. We can talk.
You cannot expect to be a leader if you have not put in no work. Nigga, where are your dues? What dues have you paid to be a leader? I listen to people. What they say. I put that shit into action. I'm not so proud where you can't help me. If you tell me some shit that's gonna work, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna do it.
The Oshay Vlogcast podcast. You can see I got this big ass mic in my fucking face, looking like a Baptist church preacher.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Oshay Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode.
I'm pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, baby.
I'll try not to flirt with you.
Well,
but I can't help myself with that dimple.
I am looking good. That's not my fault.
I wanted to start off the conversation first talking about the Manosphere. Mm-hmm. Did you start the Manosphere?
No. The black sector of the Manosphere? No.
The black sector, right.
No.
Who started it?
So there was two people I felt like as the most instrumental in coming up with like the idea. I'll first say, let me give Angry Man his props, because Angry Man is the one that gave it the actual name, the Black Manosphere. But to be honest, in my honest opinion, the Black Manosphere has the most influence from Obsidian Mumia Ami. He is who I believe is the godfather of Black Manosphere 2.0 generation. So he precedes, in my opinion, because he was the first person to saying that, black men need a voice. Mm-hmm. He was the first person that got everybody on the Patreon. He was the first person that he influenced everybody. I would say even Angry Man. Me too, because when I first started listening to him in 2015. So he was the first person saying that, black men wanted to have content for them, they should pay for it. So all of the stuff, black men to control their own image. Those things were Obsidian Mumia Ali's talking points. Mm-hmm. Things you further heard, people like Kevin Samuel say, or people like me say. So as far as, because, Obsidian was writing for A Voice for Men, and he asked Rouge V a long time ago, well, what about the voices that black men have? And Rouge V said, well, black men need to build it themselves. So that's what he intended to do. So he was those two guys were, I would say, giving the Black Manosphere the identity. So you would consider them something like, I don't know if it's the Christian church like Peter, and somebody like me like Paul.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then how did you get involved?
Well, I was around the time, when those guys came in. In fact, I believe I asked, Angry Man, he had something going around at the time called the Commission, where he was trying to send out invites. Obsidian's idea was kind of, big in general. And then, you had guys like Angry Man at the same time trying to, specialize it. So then, I came on, and then I was like trying to bring on other guys. And mm-hmm. I would say a little bit more better when it came to networking with people, willing to work with people than the other two guys. Although Obsidian, he was, quite the collaborator too. So that's kind of how I came into
The
helping Black
space.
Manosphere 2.0. Mhm.
Yeah. So did you three guys kind of look at the manosphere in general, like with the white folks, and decided that
Mhm.
black men needed their own space? Is that how it maybe kind of began? Was like, hey, we need a space for black men.
Well, I think like at that time in 2015, you had guys like Rouge V, and he had a website called Return to Kings. And so, really, what the Manosphere was at that particular point was, it was de facto, I would say, white and Asian as far as what white men were kind of going through. And although black men were going through the same things as American men, I believe
Mm-hmm.
that we had cultural issues that were a lot different. And the thing was that we had some stuff that was very specialized to our needs and desires and wants that we could talk about. Like we have more single mother led homes than I think the main Manosphere did, and so it left us out of a lot of conversations. So sometimes a lot of guys just didn't feel safe there, or some guys complained about certain aspects of racism in the mainstream Manosphere or MGTOW, because MGTOW is also just a sector of Manosphere.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the black content creators came in, and was deciding to try to specialize the space. So that's kind of how we came in and did it, and that was the how we addressed it at that time.
Yeah. So there's sectors. So tell me about those, because you have the manosphere, but then you have sectors of it. What are those?
The Black Manosphere sectors represent, I think, the same sectors you see in the mainstream Manosphere. So you have, at least it's not prevalent as it used to be. There was MGTOW, men going their own way. So
Right.
that came out with like our section of Ibmore, which was like, introspective black men of reform or something like to that effect. So people like BGS, Ibmore, Black Man, Ram 313, those guys. Then you had your SYSBM, which has kind of come on a little bit more strong, right? Which is
Yeah.
Save Yourself Black Man. That's Mad Buzz Driver S. Even though they don't really consider themselves a part of the Black Manosphere, they would certainly fall in line with what you would consider the black sector of the Manosphere. You have guys who are in they're another burgeoning group, the Passport Bros.
Mm-hmm.
So Passport Bros are a part of the Manosphere. Guys like Black Male Travels, the Austin Holloman guy. That's
Mm-hmm.
doing pretty good right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Dennis, I believe it's either Jean Pierre or Saint Jean Pierre. Shout out to him. Guys like that. Richie, Zoom to Thailand.
Richard
You
Mack.
know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those guys are the black sector. Then you have what you would call a more or less now another group that's burgeoning, more your elite class guys of the Manosphere. I'm talking about more like educated, so the lead attorney guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now these guys can they're not necessarily you would say Black Manosphere guys because their audience is more broad, but certainly you can identify them as being in the sector. So guys like Mediocre Tourism Reviews, the
Mm-hmm.
lead attorney, Dennis Sperling is more or less a real hardcore, Black Manosphere kind of guy. Guys like me, so guys who have like a professional school advantage. Even some guys are married, like Brother Gabe A. Pocket Watching with JT. Although
Mm-hmm.
they don't talk about all the time issues that black men are going through in relationships, certainly you can identify them as a part of that. Brother Gabe A, Brother Antoine Wade. So these guys are related to the Black Manosphere somewhat indirectly, although their content is not necessarily about what's going on with men and women like me or Kevin Samuels. Their relationship, their content is certainly more or less about professional stuff like Pocket Watching with JT,
Yeah.
like that.
Finances. Well, let
Right.
me ask you a question, because we have these names that I'm mostly familiar with, the guys that you mentioned.
Mhm.
But how does someone get in the manosphere? So how do you divide it where no he is or no he's not? Because if you're black and you're talking about relationships
Right.
or problems or wanting black men to do better,
Mm.
do you guys pull them in and say, hey, you know what? I like how you talking. You should be a part of. Like, how does that work? How does someone get in the manosphere? How do you differentiate? Yeah, this is
Mhm.
manosphere and this is not.
Well, the Black Manosphere has never been like regulated, if you will, but it's usually what you would call some sort of stamp of approval. So
Mm,
you would get a guy that we saw participating, even in the conversations, and so one of those guys would have to be brought in. Let's say Obsidian, which is the guy that brought in, our solo TV 84, who's another guy. Shout out to him. He was another
okay.
guy that don't get enough credit for what he's done for our community. But although he's no longer really associated, and at times I don't like to be associated because of what's going on. But
We're gonna
you
talk
know,
about that.
Angry Man, are me. So you would go through our Black Ram 313. So typically those were the 5 points of entry. Or BGS Ibmore. But usually it would be me,
Yeah.
Obsidian,
So
Solo
you're one of
24.
the gatekeepers.
Yes, I've always been one of the gatekeepers.
So okay, because our word on the street is that this is it's a Black Illuminati.
Yeah, I heard that. Nobody sits up all day and like this guy should be in or these guys should be out or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the case. I mean, obviously, any community has politics, so we certainly in our history have had ours, and
Hmm.
I won't go into great detail about that. But of course, everything can be political if it needs to be,
Right.
but it's not as regulated as some people may want to believe.
Do you consider yourself red pilled?
Well, to the point that I see things for what they really are, and that's what the red pill is. The red pill is: do you see it in its true nature? Is it? For example, when I was coming up as a kid, women are sugar and spice and everything nice.
Hmm.
But shout out to Dr. T.S. Johnson, who was a Black minister guy. He said hip hop came in the '90s and showed that these are the same women that can get you set up, depending on who they were. They can get you robbed. They can break your heart. They can mess with your friend. So I think that some of the things about as far as women in the real sense is that a lot of things that women may say about what they're looking for may not be what they actually do.
Hmm.
And you look at women for being human as they are and not putting women on a certain pedestal in which you would be heard because they made a different choice. Women are emotional and things like that, so they can also make mistakes. So I think that like looking at the red pill dealing with women for what it truly is,
Right.
and if that even includes our mother. So in that case, I would say yes.
You
Certain
are.
things are red pill, and it's not only about that. Just with relationships with women, although the red pill typically refers to that, it's about everything: race, sometimes gender.
Hmm.
As you're seeing right now, sexuality.
Hmm.
So, I think that's what it's about.
So what would you say was the ultimate goal when it was
Mm.
you and Obsidian and Angry Man? What was the ultimate goal of the Black Manosphere?
Well, I think because again, it's a great question. I think it was the goals shifted
Okay.
as time went on. So it wasn't just a main goal. At first, the goal was to, you know, let's kind of get these guys together that maybe are going through some of the same issues. And sometimes what happens is when you are frustrated, or you may have a lot of guys who feel like they're frustrated. One of the goals is okay, you're frustrated with how things are going. Let's all come together and maybe not be so solution oriented, but kind of vent our frustrations. So that was phase one. Okay. And then after phase one, what you find out is that even though you're venting about those things, you find out that some of you guys don't like each other, right? So, and then what you realize is that venting your frustrations don't really change anything because you
Hmm.
need certain actions. And then what kind of happens is that, you start to go from okay, we brought these guys together. They have frustrations, but some of us really don't like each other. So then it comes into what are possible solutions, and so that's what tends to happen. Is that the theories evolve as you get more people in your community, and then what you start to find out is that some guys just really want to vent those frustrations, and then that's the goal. And certainly we have those guys, but then you start to have some people who are progressives, like Kevin Samuels. I would say he's more of a progressive guy. You start to see guys who might be more interested in trying to control their economy. Guys who might be more interested in, building, particular business networks. And let's say, for example, you can invite certain people in and certain people out, in raising the standards of who you deal with in certain communities, male or female. So I think that the goals are many, depending on who you are. Like the Passport Bros will have more or less of a different goal than you would say some of the guys. I would say in the elite class. Like the lead attorney or Rico Torres reviews, or because those guys, in my opinion, this is no offense to like the Passport Bros, but you're not going to hear them having, I would say, as many. They were going to complain, but their goal is not going to be like, I want to leave the United States because I want to find love in Brazil, because a lot of those guys have economical interest in the United States based on their particular training. Although you're going to hear very similar things, so I think that you have more your frustrated crowd and your progressives, just like politics.
So you admittedly saying kind of like a gatekeeper, so you have some of the big dogs. It's like, this guy's kind of talking points would be right in the manosphere.
Yes.
So I saw a video of you a while back about Fresh and Fit.
Mm-hmm.
And you were adamant saying, no, we don't support this, what they're doing and what you're saying. So were they a part of it, adjacent to it? And did you kick them out?
No, I mean, let me just say this. Fresh and Fit, Donovan Sharp was first brought to my attention because he's one of the progenitors of Fresh and Fit. Solo TV 84 and Donovan Sharp are the progenitors of Fresh and Fit.
Okay.
So both of those guys are associated with the Black Manosphere. Solo TV 84 was a YouTuber talking about certain things before me, and Donovan Sharp on YouTube is underneath, you would say, me and Obsidian, as far as bringing, I'm the one that actually called Donovan Sharp 2016 and said, I want you to come to the Black Manosphere. He didn't know he existed.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was that when Donovan Sharp got with the 21 convention,
and those are all white guys.
Yes, that's Anthony Johnson.
Okay.
So that's how Myron started to associate himself with Donovan Sharp, and then Fresh was doing his own thing as a YouTuber, doing, I think, pranks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then they both got brought together. So Fresh and Fit, and then obviously they're doing a good job. They do a lot of reinvesting. So then they kind of hit hip hop. So they're never really Black Manosphere guys because their experience is unlike ours. Although they're Black, are African related. They don't have African American experience. In fact, they could be called even saying some pejorative things about African American culture and stuff like that, which we won't get into right now. So, but the problem was that Fresh and Fit like to use some of those people onto their show. So Kevin Samuels was one. They bring in people to have names. I've been offered to come on there, all that kind of stuff. So the issue that I had with them was more or less that they had for a fact.
Hold on. Bring that back. You was offered to go on Fresh and Fit. When was this? Yeah. And you said no. That would have what?
Well, I mean, it's obvious because they have YouTubers that were smaller than me. That was almost everybody that had over 100,000 was offered to come on Fresh and Fit, something like that. And I think like what happens with at the time that I was offered, what you do is you ask some of your YouTube buddies and things like that, and then if they have somebody that has been on their show that you don't like, or you have some problems with, at the time I did, then nobody goes. But then the reason why a lot of us didn't go was because there was an issue with the way that Kevin had talked to me about it privately, but there was some disparaging remarks that they made about Kevin because they were fighting for the same time slot. So that's when I came in, right?
I
And
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, so when I said like they were kicked out, they were never really in. But I'm just saying, guys like that shouldn't be in the
Mhm.
manosphere at all. That was my because a lot of the snake shit that they were doing.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay. So then we have some women,
right.
and there was, a lot of different talk about should women be in the manosphere? What's
Mm-hmm.
their purpose? And
Mm-hmm.
then you have the Crimson Cure and the Melanie Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how did they come about? And do you consider them around the manosphere? Because I mean, I guess it would be some of the talking points, and they talk about you guys a lot, have your back in a whole lot of situations. So,
Mm-hmm.
are women in the manosphere?
I think that you have definitely a support system from women. I don't know if you would say that they're black in the black manosphere because um
It's the operative word, the
yeah,
manosphere.
so I mean I think that's what we're talking about. But I think if
Hmm.
you look at somebody like the Pink Book Lessons,
Hmm.
I think that they're discussing Danica Marie. I
Hmm.
think that you would say that they're closely associated. People like yourself, they're closely associated, and they're kind of going against the grain, seeing some of the problems that certain young ladies are having. Because you have black women that are very adamant about their positions against black men, and then I think that you see some of these women who are coming out and and having an issue with the tonality that those things are being addressed or at the volume they're being addressed at.
Yeah.
So certainly I would say Melanie King, who's a little bit more has a broader audience.
Hmm.
Someone like Crimson Cure was associated with the Angry Man, so she's more of a has a black manosphere feel to her content.
Hmm.
But certainly, Danica Marie, Pink Book Lessons, they're talking about the same things at the black manosphere. So I would say those ladies, many ladies, are closely associated. And a lot of
Hmm.
men, when I look at my analytics, who they watch, a lot of them watch Pink Book Lessons. It's very close.
Hmm.
Melanie King, to a certain degree, yes. So those people are associated, but not as as detailed as I would say some of
Right.
the guys are. Yeah.
Do you think it's important, women like those that you name,
Hmm.
um, that they have a platform and speaking as far as from a woman perspective and understanding men? Are they important to be around the manosphere?
Yes, they're very important to
Yeah.
me around the manosphere because a lot of men, like I said, we have guys who are not progressives, and that's been the real problem with the Black manosphere community is that we have complainers, and many of those tend to be, I would say, content creators who feel like their platform isn't where it needs to be. And that's where kind of a lot of this, I would say, pushback comes from. Is some of the content creators have been on the platform for a while, and you have some of these ladies come out and they have some of the same positions, and then those
Blow up.
positions blow up like Pink Book Lessons or Melanie
Hmm.
King, and then you see some of the guys who are still struggling and they don't want these women in the space because of that. But at the same time, it is YouTube is a business, so a lot
Hmm.
of brothers don't understand how the platform works. They don't understand how content strategies work, and so some men are very intimidated by these ladies, and the way they hide it is by saying, "We don't want these B words in the community and all of that, and we don't want this." And then the reality is, it's like you're just not a really good YouTuber, or you
Hmm.
don't want to pay for the help, and so you're upset that this particular young lady comes on, and she is a better at producing the content than you are, and so those things are going viral, and you're not. But now it's important that women, because we talk about how women don't understand men. So then you get women who are trying to understand men, and then now you feel like they're profiting off of that, and you have an issue with it. Well, you can't reach women like women can reach women. That's the
Hmm.
situation. I don't have the patience. None of us have the patience or skill that Kevin Samuels does with women,
Right.
right? He's a once in a lifetime guy. So I think that it's a great thing that women are coming in that are explaining, some of the concepts that we're coming from, and they can understand it, and that is being regurgitated through more of a female fan base, and that's great. So I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. So when I started YouTube, being on a panel and just talking, but I had a lot of men tell me that the longer that I'm in this space, I need to be careful or I'll end up like a Cynthia G. Now, kind of researching her a little bit, I know that she was, in the Manosphere panels, and kind of had one position and then completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
So, were you on panels with her before she started her own platform and then kind of changed the rhetoric of what she preached? Tell me a little bit what you know about Cynthia G.
Cynthia G, when I first came, was a popular YouTuber talking more or less about white supremacy. So that was her stuff, white supremacy and racism. That's
Pro-Black.
why Tariq, yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all her. But see, Cynthia G got in a lot of trouble, getting a lot of strikes on her channel when she was going after, white supremacist groups and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for whatever reason, after that, and a lot of black men will support Cynthia G. She was getting support from Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Boyce Watkins, African Diaspora Network. She was getting a lot of collaborations at that time, which
Yeah.
for us was unheard of because, she was growing. And then for whatever reason, she took her animosity towards black men. And so, she's been on that tangent ever since. And I think that it was because going after white supremacy for that time, it wasn't going to be able to sustain itself. So that's why she started coming after. I don't know why she started coming after black men, but certainly she did. I've seen certain ladies do that. Chrissy was another one. Chrissy was a very much pro-black and changed. She now believes in swirling, and she comes after black men all the time. And she did start
And you
off.
don't know why?
I don't know why. Outside of the fact that it's maybe financially lucrative to do so, but I don't know why.
Well, let me say this because this space is not necessarily a pro-black space. It seems to be quite conservative. You would hear people throw around, victim Olympics or, it's very, very conservative. And so when you talk about pro-black issues, you get a lot of pushback. And I know that you consider yourself Pan-African, over the diaspora with supporting Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times I know me in particular, when I talk about pro-Black and Black love, I get a lot of pushback from Black men.
In the manosphere.
And in particular, maybe it's the subsectors of the passport bros or, this SYSBM. So maybe with that. So, and then that's when I was told that don't end up like a Cynthia G with the message of Black love. Do you think that's a correlation?
No. I mean, you're going to have people because, like me, I lived in Poland I'm in Dubai right now, but I lived in Poland for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been adamant from day one, my positions. And so, you're going to have some people that want to, do the interracial thing. And then there's some people like me. I think really, ultimately, people make their decisions. Your values as a YouTuber, for me, are the same ones that I hold personally. So I'm not going to really change my values because I feel like, it gets more clicks or views. But I definitely understand why some black men will want to date out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I do that. But but we got to look at the actual real numbers here. Most black people are, for the most part, dating and marrying each other. So that most black people, even the hardest, even guys who are in the manosphere, if you have a black wife or something like that, and and she's nice to you, most black men are not gonna have anything to say about that negatively. You're gonna have your detractors, sure, but I don't
Mhm.
think people on YouTube can make you change your position, especially people that you don't know, you've never met them.
Mhm.
You don't know if they're even black or white in the comment section.
Facts.
People just change their positions because they feel like, well, this group is less empowered to get me struck down, or this is a big money pile I can
Mhm.
make. If you can keep people frustrated, then whatever. Let's do
Yeah.
that and let's make money. It's kind of like some of the celebrity stuff. You kind of know what who's going to jump at a certain topic if you want, or what kind of topic. So YouTubers are smart. They understand that um, putting their content to a certain base of people will it's financially rewarding. So
Mhm.
Cynthia G in the Black Love thing, I mean, obviously she still
This,
has that. Go ahead.
well, this is why I say it because you know I know being a woman in the space around it or talking about male issues. A
Hmm.
lot of people will say that you're a pick me and you want male attention, but I don't think they understand that it's hard being a woman in space because you get criticized. Your age,
Yeah.
you baby mama, this. So it's not. I think a lot of people are kind of getting confused. Like I can't tell you the comments that I get. That's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
darn, they coming hard. So maybe I'm thinking that maybe that's it, where if you're supporting black men, but then you are getting told that I'm going overseas, get your passports, we don't want you, you're just a baby mama, you've hit the wall. Maybe it's those critiques as a woman. It hits us hard, a little harder probably than men with the criticism.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, let me just say this. I know because Melanie King, she had talked to me about about that, and
Hmm.
she wasn't used to a lot of guys calling her a pick me or whatever. But at the time, I think that Cynthia G was talking about white supremacy. She wasn't. I don't think that was any
Yeah.
issue. She had a lot of black men because remember the white supremacy stuff. If people support that kind of content, the
Hmm.
black men that support that kind of content, they are with you 100%. So they're going
Right.
to be the ones calling you queen. What's going on, sister? That's that
What's
part of
up,
the
my
blacks.
queen, Nubian
Yeah.
goddess?
So the ones that wasn't supporting her, where those are going to be what as a YouTuber, you're always going to have people who are not going to like what you have to say.
Right.
They're going to troll you or whatever. So Cynthia G had a lot of black male supporters who believed in the white supremacy content. She turned those guys off when she came. So it might be a little different in your case or Melanie King's case,
Hmm.
because you guys are actually coming out with more of a same message that Kevin Samuels had, somewhat associated.
Yeah.
And then some of the same guys who supported Kevin Samuels have a problem with you saying it because they feel like, okay, it's ulterior motives. Okay, you're just saying it because you want to get paid. You see it's an economy there. Where at the time that Cynthia G was talking about what she was talking about, there wasn't even any economy for women to say this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And you had very few women who were saying it at that time. So I don't think that's the case. I think those are apples and oranges.
Yeah. So now, a few months ago,
Hmm.
you decided to make an exit.
Yes.
Not
Hmm.
only you, I believe MTR, and it was a
Yeah.
couple other people that kind of was pivoting.
Yeah.
Are you still pivoting because you still talk about some of the issues that's Black Manosphere? So have you pivot? Why did you decide to MGTOW it and go your own way?
Well, I mean, the situation with the Black Manosphere. Let me just talk about this. This happened right before Kevin died.
Okay.
So, I had this conversation with Kevin because, again, it wasn't about subscribers. It had certain things to do with MTR was not really. He's kind of bigger than the Black Manosphere. MTR has a more of a vast audience, so
Mhm.
he was wanting to lead the Manosphere in general because sometimes as a content creator, when you want to grow, some of the things that you might want to discuss, you might feel that you're limited. I think that might have been more of an issue with him, and then
Mhm.
obviously some guys can be a little bit too hateful, and there are those guys on the other side, feminists hateful, too hateful towards men, and definitely there are guys can be a little bit more too hateful towards women, and then so you don't want your content to be necessarily associated with that at all, right?
Mhm.
The issue with the Black Manosphere was you had Kevin Samuels being too successful.
Mm.
That's the big thing. So when somebody like Kevin Samuels is being too successful, and I won't call names because we had some dudes that was that changed up soon as he passed away, but then
Mhm.
they were calling him, bitch ass niggas and all kinds of stuff before that.
Mhm.
So Kevin was going to such a level that other guys felt like, okay, well, maybe, he stole some of the stuff or he wasn't given enough shout outs. And so, of
Credit.
course, lumped into that as the guy who brought in Kevin Samuels was me. So I started getting a lot of hatred from guys that were not as successful as me, guys who were jealous, in my honest opinion, things like that. So, being top dogs, you're starting to get people who don't really care about the community, guys you helped come in, and then, they're coming after you for the fact that you're successful and they're not. So at that particular time, if it was about a fight for the Black Manosphere, they could have it, right? And I would say when I was de facto leader for whatever time period that was, I would say all the way up until about 2022.
Mhm.
We had a pretty good run. The community did a lot, did a lot. We got a lot of guys that came into the community. I scouted a lot of guys. I worked with a lot of the creators, and it got better. But ultimately, you're going to have those guys who don't do very well, and they want anarchy. So that was the real reason why I kind of disassociated myself from the Black Manosphere. Although at heart, I'm a Black Manosphere content creator.
You can't leave. I
Um,
mean, I know you tried.
well, I mean, I mean,
It's your baby.
yeah, but you have. But the thing about it is, whenever you have some people now, since Kevin has passed away, that animosity has went away.
Yeah.
But I was bringing things to the community that some of the other guys were not. We had the Negro Manosphere at one point. I was bringing in my editing team to help guys out and stuff.
Mhm.
So as far as reinvesting into the infrastructure of what we're trying to do, most guys, look at the Black Manosphere community as a cash cow. So they didn't. There's no reinvestment to the infrastructure, how to do anything. The only
Right.
guy that was really doing that was me.
Yeah.
So that was a real
You
situation right there.
you evolved from looking
Mm.
at your content a while ago. Like, when did you start making content on YouTube?
I started making content on YouTube like 2015, just fucking around.
Mhm.
Um,
And then you've evolved, and then like, how many channels do you have? How many shows with the celebrity junk, and then your vlog? Like, your evolution, I think it's something incredible. And I know Kevin Samuels said it before, it should be studied and it will be studied, but you've completely evolved
mhm,
your content in different pages. So how, first of all, how many channels, how many shows, like, well,
mhm.
your hands is everywhere.
Well, as far as the how many channels, really, I'm only really dealing with three right
Three.
now, and
Okay.
that is um, my Oshay Duke Jackson channel, the Celebrity Junk channel. Um, I have a King Gonda channel, and then also I have another channel that we're producing right now that is probably going to be, I think, my biggest channel to date.
Mm-hmm.
Which I won't name. I'll talk to you about it offline.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it's just been a lot of for me as a creator. I put a lot of time into this business, and I put a lot of time into trying to make what I do more more appealing. Because Black men, I felt like they deserve a good show every day,
Yeah.
just like any other niche. So I met Dima in 2017. Dima is here with me in Dubai right now. So we got a chance to finally meet. So we've been working together for 5 years. So we tried to evolve the conversations to add more value.
Right.
Instead of just being like certain people, just, whatever, you get a lot of money and then you keep it and you buy like Rolls Royces and Rolexes and your content doesn't evolve. So we
Yeah.
wanted to evolve it and we wanted to, make things better for the guys. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to always make it better because YouTubers are getting better. So we want to
Yeah.
be able to get better for our niche.
So your production is outstanding. But also your messages, what you talk about kind of changed, and then you've evolved into talking about, what's going on now in social media and things like that.
Mhm.
Why? What is the message now that you're trying to convey?
Well, I think at the same time, just like, let me kind of retract. People change
People do.
because of evolution. I mean,
Hmm.
some people should. Let me say, people should theoretically change. Some people may not, but some people do. So I think some of the successes that I've had, like I said, 5 years, 7 years ago, I had never been out of the United States, and then like I've lived my life out of the United States for the last 7 years. So those experiences will make you see things um, from a different perspective. I
Right.
didn't have um, a full functioning studio, and then you have that, and so just dealing with people, managing employees, or doing your own work, and so your things progress as you intellectually. I finished medical school around that same time, so those experiences give you some confidence about certain things and what things really are in life and what you really need to do to be successful, what it really takes. So
Hmm.
then your message will change according to your experiences. And I think all of us as YouTubers, we come to YouTube with our own personal experience. So that's why it's called YouTube, right? We're
Right.
talking about how we see the world from our own personal experiences. And for me, my experiences have changed. So therefore, my message
It has to be
evolves,
involved.
yeah, because of what I'm seeing out there and what I believe the opportunities are. But I think that especially after being in Dubai
Hmm.
this week and seeing a desert that was nothing and was transformed into probably one of the greatest international cities in the world that I've seen, just
Hmm.
goes to show me what dedication can do, what Black men have an opportunity to do, and there's no really real excuses. So just to kind of maybe more or less think about that you can build the things that you want around you. If it's women, if it's you know societies, because here in Dubai, I mean, obviously, this is their land and they run the country. But what I've noticed is that anybody who comes here, there's a certain level of standards that you need to have to be here. Otherwise, take your ass right to jail or fines or whatever. Foreigners come from the poorest countries in the world with less standards, and they come to Dubai, and all of a sudden they know how to act. Right?
Hmm.
They
Mm.
know how to fit into their system. If not, they know how to get the fuck out. Also,
Right.
so I think for us as Black men, I think going from the lesser, just the complaining stage, and then coming together, some of us who can, and trying to to be builders and to try to create the things that you want to see instead of complaining about those things. I believe anything that you want to see as a man, you can really create it if you really want to do it.
Yeah. So your evolution, let's take it back to the space that you're in that you try to get away from, but you can't. The Black Manosphere.
Yeah.
Has it evolved into something that you're proud of?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I
Mhm.
think Kevin Samuels had a run that I mean nobody would have. I mean, he's probably, as a content creator, um, had the biggest evolution just that I've ever seen. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
he passed away, and it's still
Mhm.
kind of you don't get those texts, those quick calls anymore from him, stuff like that. But I think that with Kevin, he put our message out there to the world in ways that I was glad that it just got out there. And so
Yeah.
you have other guys out there, obviously, that we don't have a creator anymore as strong as Kevin. and we probably won't. You know, a lot of guys want to work together and do some things. And I notice a lot of Black women support us, and they want Black people want to be together, and a lot of people want to do things. So we have a lot of opportunities to work together, a lot of opportunities to do things in this space. So I think that's just a great thing. The opportunity is there. It depends on who wants to put in the work, and we have talented people, a lot of talented Black men that can help us. We have a lot of Black men who can come in and even monetize in certain areas, just offline, online. We have women that can help us. We have, so we have a whole community aspect that can be done here that just needs to be, a little bit more developed.